Wait for the recording. There's the recording. Okay, and I can't forget this. There we go. Nice. All right. Happy holidays, everybody. Welcome to the December 2021 Mix It Up. We are kind of mixed up today, but hey, it's one of those weeks. So let's talk about system admin stuff today. This should be a pretty interesting conversation. I hope everybody saw the description that we're going to run kind of a roundtable. We've got a panel, but I hope that you have a bunch of questions to throw out to the group and to the panel. Really anything system admin related, we can go anywhere you want. We do have some topics that the panel has been thinking about and has some questions for the group. But before we jump into that, let me share my slides and we can get you caught up on a bunch of stuff that's going on. I want to do that and that. And if Teams is going to continue cooperating, we should be good to go. All right, so let me get back to this. And like I said, update you on what's going on. So you're all wondering what's in store for next year. Well, for January, we're going to partner with the Women in Tech group and talk about psychological safety, which I'm really looking forward to that conversation. This should be very interesting. So we're going to work out the details post the holiday season, and we'll get that updated, and get that open for registration. We'll let you know for that. But put that on your calendar. Looking forward to that conversation. And then also we mentioned, I think it was last month, we mentioned the first Mix It Up for the Power Platform is coming up in January as well. Belinda, I think you're on, yeah?
Yes, I'm on.
Yeah, any quick commercial for this?
No, but we're real excited. So if anybody wants to participate and share information, Kim and I would love to have you aboard. So it should be real. There's so many cool things right now. My head is exploding on things to show, and especially even, I love Power BI, but even beyond Power BI, with Power App's new pricing, it is really their per usage license, or pay as you go is what they call it. Then that opens up a world of things that for everybody on what you could do with it. So yeah, we're super excited.
Awesome. All right, so yes, looking forward to that. Registration is open already for that, so pop out there and check that out. And then we also have DynamicsCon coming up in March. I can't quite see the dates. It's kind of in the middle of the month. And you can see the sessions being submitted for that right now, and they'll have voting in January for that. And then we've got, for the partners on the call, we have Directions North America the first week of April in Orlando. And boy, that'll be nice to get together with everybody and have a regular conference. So hoping that all comes together. Okay, I don't know if you saw the drink of the month. We've got another one not featuring tequila. So I don't know what's going on with our barkeep, but this is a fantastic drink, one of my personal favorites. And this is a viewer request. If you filled out a survey before, I think it's popped up a couple times, been requested to go through and make a dark and stormy. So we've got our regular bartender and a guest bartender today. So let's see how to make one of these. Make sure this gets.
Oh, we are recording. It started, didn't it? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Doesn't Mark ever cut off the front?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially this one.
So you can pick your starting point.
Exactly.
We'll see.
Okay, then I'm gonna edit this out. Totally editing this out. All right, hello everybody, and welcome to another edition of Mix It Up. As you can see, I have a very special guest here, and we're gonna mix. Actually, I'm gonna mix a drink for Carrie. my drink will have other special stuff in it. But this week we are going to do a dark and stormy. Do you know what that is?
I don't know what that is, but it sounds delicious.
I don't either, but somebody suggested it because they really wanted something other than tequila drink.
This was a right-in drink suggestion.
It was.
Can you show them that bottle? Because that bottle is so cool.
I love this bottle. And yes, I only bought the bottle because it had a Kraken on it, like the octopus. And
so we can say, release the Kraken.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the drink is dark and stormy, which is made with rum. So we have a dark rum here. I don't know if that's the one you're supposed to use, but that's what we're using. And we have in the cup already and fancy cups here. So I'm going to just put some rum. I think it's 2 ounces.
2 ounces, yeah.
Well, my 2 ounces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One for you too?
Yes.
You better leave some room for the next ingredient in there too, though.
Well, I feel like there's a lot of white space in this cup.
Yeah.
So the next ingredient is ginger beer, but I had a little trouble getting that. So we have ginger ale, and it's actually, I just love this brand because it's spectacular ginger ale. Like, you know, you have to buy the spectacular kind.
The spectacular.
Exactly.
Spectacular. Yeah.
Sorry. So I don't know how much of this you want in there.
Perfect.
Okay.
Just like that.
That's exactly how I measure shit. And then do you want a splash? And some recipes say you can put in a splash of fresh lime juice.
A splash of lime.
I was at a liquor store that didn't have any limes, which seemed kind of odd. I think they were out. It was a run on.
It's a small town here.
It was really. He said I could have ginger beer next Wednesday. So if you want to go get it, she ordered some for you.
There you go.
I told her my name was Carrie Peters.
Nice.
Yep. Just splash. More?
Yeah, just splash. No.
Okay.
All right. Don't go too crazy with the lime.
Okay. So now I'm going to mix mine. I'm going to use my special rum though. So I'm using my special rum.
Lies.
And I don't think this special rum will mix well with ginger ale. So
you're just gonna have your rum,
Yep.
your rum on ice.
yeah, it's one of my favorites though. Really.
Yeah. Can you show the front of that? Because that's cool too. Yeah, like cool bottles this time.
This is one of my favorites of all.
That
time.
is an asymmetrical bottle.
It is. It's really difficult to pour after you've had a lot of shots. So I'm not gonna lie. I almost dropped it a couple times. That was a long time ago though.
All right.
Last
Are
year.
you ready?
Yeah. So dark and stormy. Cheers.
Cheers.
I should have stirred that for you.
It's pretty good.
Is it?
Oh, it's really good.
Good, because I'm leaving this bottle with you. Because why would I want rum?
I get to keep the Kraken.
Yes, you
Nice.
do.
No, it's a good drink. I like it a lot.
Cool. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Santa's elves helped me with the editing there, so you know they're pretty busy right now. All right, so let's get to our discussion again, folks. Roundtable discussion with our panel. We'll go through and do introductions with our panel first, and I think they all have some opening thoughts to share, and then we'll open it up to questions and lessons learned, insights, general musings, whatever you want. Let's share. And let me get to the actual slides. So I got to say first, thanks very much. Probably don't say it very often, but I'm very humbled by the fact that I can reach out to anybody and ask them to show up to a call and support us like this and help out on a panel. And people actually say yes. So I got to say thank you, folks, for doing this, especially during a very busy season like this. Appreciate you making the time and being on the hot seat, as it were. And so with that, let's go around the room. Greg, you're up first. Thanks very much for joining today. Greg's been a member of the NAV BC community for probably a decade, I think, Greg, and has some battle scars to show it as well.
Okay, well, I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk a pet peeve. The fact that setting up users, you got to go too many places. So you have to go into users, you have to go into employee master, you have to go into warehouse employees, you have to go into user setup. It just seems like there should be a way where you put it in one place and it flows to all the different tables that it needs to go to. Probably a good opportunity for somebody else. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
And Greg, do you want to backtrack and just talk about your company and your role there real quick too?
Okay, I work for a company called TriStar Metals.
Mhm.
We make wire and lots of it. We specialize in stainless steel wire. We also distribute bar stock. We buy from the mills. We buy entire heats of steel. A heat is just a big old pot of steel. And we have them roll it into different diameters. We put it on the shelf and then we sell it, you know. So if somebody needs 4 bars of steel, they have to come to us. No steel mill's going to talk to them. Just not a big enough order. My role there is I'm Director of Technical Resources. BC is my primary role. I have IT reports to me. So I have an IT manager, a technician, and another girl that does planning, and we're going to add a material planner here soon too. So
Very cool. And you are now BC Online?
no, we're still on-prem.
On-prem, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, until our server gets old enough. We bought a brand new monster server right before Microsoft came out with the online offering. We bought it in November. They started offering it online in April, and we're like, well, we're going to keep on the on-prem until this machine comes to the end of life. We spent too much money.
Yeah.
So.
Gotcha. All right. So pet peeve is too many places to set up users. Let's come back to that because I'm sure there's some questions and commentary on that, but we'll continue doing intros and open remarks first. So Kimco, our bartender, is on a panel today as well. Hey, Kim.
Hey, how's everybody doing? Well, you guys all know me. So I'm the chief bartender of New View Strategies and probably the world's worst bartender, but you know, we have.
Oh, any opening thoughts?
Oh,
Kim?
okay. Opening thoughts.
Yeah.
Well, the last rollout of BC was fun to go through. You know, I actually schedule our production to go 2 days after the initial rollout. So it was, I think, December before we actually got our production environment upgraded. So that was an interesting adventure.
So
Sure,
give us
so-
more details.
Yeah,
The interesting is
what was the issues?
just whetting our appetite.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no. I don't know because I don't know that we got the email that said all of them. So you know how they'll say, okay, as of November whatever 20th, you can schedule your update. So I'd schedule the update for the 22nd. Well, then something would happen because then I'd go in on the 22nd and be like, why didn't I upgrade? And then there's a new message that says, hey, you can schedule updates on like a week later. And so really it took until December before it actually hit the 2 days and they didn't have to make any updates. I mean, I think one was like they rolled out something that had some code that affected everybody. It slowed everybody down. Yeah. Yep. So yeah, so that was an interesting adventure. Not that we have too much stuff that will break in our internal BC. I mean, it's way more for other users that are using like warehousing and manufacturing. That's kind of maybe more critical than us. But I don't know. I kind of do it out of safety. I want to make sure nothing goes horribly wrong on that first day, to make sure they get the patches and all of that stuff. So yeah, so it was an adventure this time. It was interesting.
Hey, Kim, I'd like to throw a question out to the group for those that have upgraded to BC 19.
Actually, hey, Rob.
Yes?
Hey, Rob, pencil that down. Let's come back to that. We'll finish doing intros and then we'll circle back because I know there's some more questions on this too. Yeah, thank you. All right, so let me make a note for Rob there. Doug, I'm looking for you on the.
Well, maybe when I talk, it'll
I'll show up. Yeah,
Good.
this is Doug Shepard. I'm the director of IT at 1517 Media. We're a publishing company out of Minneapolis. Carrie, who's standing somewhere next to Kim, I think, used to work with me as well. Unfortunately, we're still using NAV 2017. So all this Business Central talk is just making me jealous, but hopefully soon. We have some add-ons: ChargeLogic, Avalara, Easy Security, Object Manager, Merge Tool. Easy Security does not help with that problem that Greg mentioned, by the way. We also have some custom-built publishing-related modules for royalty subscriptions, etc. All of our reporting is handled by Power BI and a little bit of SSRS. And yeah, I don't really have any issues to bring up or anything. I'm kind of been barely dipping into NAV the last year or so, to be honest. So, been busy with other things.
Yeah. General happy camper, huh?
Things are going well, yeah.
Excellent, excellent. All right, we'll circle back to that. And then Jason.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for having me here. Jason Wilder. I work at Stonewall Kitchen. Maybe you guys have heard of it or not. My current title is Solution Architect. That's kind of a new title for me. Kind of like it. But Stonewall Kitchen, we sell jams, jellies, sauces. We've been acquiring companies lately. I think we've acquired 5 companies in the last 3 years, I think. So we have candles now. We have a Vermont coffee company. We have a hand soap company. We have all sorts of stuff. So that's been pretty fun and challenging too at the same time. We've had NAV since 1999, so we have had this thing forever, and we love it. I'm so glad, Doug, that you're on NAV 2017, because I was embarrassed to say that we're on NAV 2018, but there's somebody that's on a lower version than us, so thank you for that. We are on NAV 2018, a hybrid version, so we have CAL and AL, and we're going to upgrade to BC 14 next year. Got that all planned out. And the reason we're doing that is because it's just super challenging to go from, when you're a company that has had Navision for 20 plus years, there's just too many mods and you just got to take it a step at a time. So that's why we're doing that. And yeah, we have some similar add-ons that Doug mentioned. We have 2 increased foods, Avalara, ChargeLogic, Continuing Expense Management, and Beck EDI. Plus we have many other integrations that we do. And I'm not going to give you a problem or an issue. I'm going to offer up for anyone that has BC 14 or lower. There is a page that I can send you. It's 1-page object, and I can send it to you. And it's basically Object Designer. If any of you know what Object Designer was back in the Classic client, it allows you to run Object Designer from the Windows client. Super handy. You can search for your table, click a button on the ribbon that says Open Table, and it will just open up your table, and you can see all the records, and you can edit them and add them and do things like that, just like the old days. So if anyone wants that, maybe ask Mark or whatever. It's super simple to load into your system too. So that's what I got.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Fantastic. So we could talk about upgrades and integrations as well, or acquiring companies, or adding users, or rollouts with BC, or anything else. Who wants to circle back? Rob, you want to get us kicked off?
Sure. I'll start with the question I had earlier with that Kim started on the upgrade. Has everybody been able to upgrade if they're on BC to 19? I know some clients have struggled at this point. I have a client that is not. It took a while. Kim alluded to the item reference, the change from item cross-reference to item reference. There seems to be some records that were dropped during that upgrade. Anybody have any experience on that?
Wow.
I've seen some threads on it. I don't quite recall. I know there's something to get kind of the functionality of cross-reference stuff. To retain it, you have to turn something on somewhere. I don't know if it's an inventory setup or something like that. I have heard of that.
Inventory setup as a Boolean to turn on the new feature if you want to turn on feature management for it. If you turn it on, it goes into effect. If you leave it off, it leaves the old functionality in place.
There you go.
And you
Does
can't
anyone
see the
know
cross
structure of
references
the
either.
table? Like, oh, sorry, has a table structure changed?
Yeah,
There's
the
a new
Adam Quest
table.
table. Yeah, it's a whole new table now.
Oh, it is. So there
Yeah.
must be an upgrade code unit to move stuff to that table. All right.
Yeah.
So Steve, does that mean that you have a choice of staying on the in the older table? I thought it was up to a certain point and then you were forced.
They said that I thought they were going to force you this coming spring. I haven't seen the next write-up on it. I was curious if they were going to leave it because there's a lot of people angry about it because it is annoying. I think the old way is better personally, but that's being on it for so many decades. You know, we all like the old way anyway. Why would I want to change it? But I still don't understand why the change. It just doesn't make any common sense. I mean, I played with it in one database. I go back to the other one. I still like the other one. So, but I'm hoping that somebody comes back and just says that you can just leave it on and off. Meaning that you can leave the Boolean off and it stays off, and if you leave the Boolean on, it goes on. I'm praying. I'm just going like this, and hopefully we'll hear in late February what's coming into V19 version 2.
Steve, both tables still exist as you've indicated, but if you turn off the Boolean right now, you have access to no table.
No table?
No, you do not get to see the table. You do not see them. You're the record. Yeah, you know how you would go to the item and go to related and see the cross reference. If you have that Boolean off, you cannot see it. But the two tables do exist, as you pointed out.
Yeah.
I'll just mention this. I know Microsoft has been, they've been making kind of like upgrades on demand. Sorry, the data upgrade part kind of on demand. So when you go into a page for the first time, there's code on there that says, "Oh, have you ever been in here?" And if you haven't, it will actually it'll run the upgrade for the first time, and move the data, possibly for this. I don't know if it's true or not, but it will move it from the old cross-reference table. Maybe it'll copy it over to the new one. Does anyone know if that's the way it works or if it's just part of, kind of a normal upgrade?
My understanding is that when you turn that functionality on is when you get the values passed through to the new table. I did just look up something that says that 2021 release wave 2 and later is, it looks like, Steve, you have to use the item references. So to make it work, you have to turn it on. It says in earlier versions, you can turn it on in the feature management, but I think after that, I think this last release is the one where they're forcing us to use it.
I'm actually opened up the database that I have in here, and I have not updated it yet. It's still pending.
Don't.
So that's probably why I can see it.
Yeah, I thought it was this release. So they did release it previously through feature management, so whoever was referencing turning it on or off, turning it on. And by the way, when you do it, it does pass the values through to the other table. But Rob was mentioning that he had troubles with something not making it over there. Rob, is that what you were referring to earlier?
Yes, it did look like so. In some cases, we had an 11-digit cross-reference number, a barcode, and in other cases, we had the 10, and the 10 somehow did not make it through. I don't know if it's trying to. You can manually put it in, but I have no idea why it dropped. We lost 700 records.
Well, it's weird.
That's
We
really
were going to use the data. Well, not the data port. I'm old
configuration
school.
packages.
Yeah. Thanks for correcting me.
Oh, here's the other one. Okay.
Okay.
So that sounds like a bug. Obviously, there's a code unit type called an upgrade code unit, and when you do something like that, it should take it and move all the stuff over. So maybe there's a bug in that. I don't have access to that right now, but I'm curious on what it's actually doing.
Are there check digits on barcodes?
Not
No.
out of the box that I know of.
Okay. I was wondering if it had something to do with that.
But I manually put them in, and it didn't error out. So that's why I was like, well, why did it kick out some records?
Yeah, that's bizarre.
There's got to be some pattern.
This subject is interesting. There's also and I don't know if it's in version 19.2 yet. Is the pricing changes? Does anyone Anyone know of the pricing changes that have they happened yet, or that they're coming? And is it better? I'm hoping it's better. I mean,
You're talking about all the sales price changes that have gone on since version 14 and up, and how they
Yeah.
rolled it out really slow. But I kind of like it, because of the multi-layers that you can, it'll always find the cheapest solution. It takes a while to get used to. For anybody who's been on Nav and only understands, the way it is there, it took a while to learn it. I mean, to understand like what they were doing and
How is it different, Steve?
the
I know
sales
that the
price.
pages, yes, I know the pages and, where we access it look a little bit differently. We have the overview that we didn't used to have, but I thought it was still out of the box using the best price calculation.
It's always going to be the best price calculation. I don't like the way that it's basically, there's other ways to set up the structure and the pricing. That
Right.
bothered me, the way there was so many ways of looking at it and going in there and you have to set up this way to get to that way. I didn't like it. I just like the old simple method where if I go to prices and I clicked on sales prices, have all my, everything was there. So if I have a sales line discount, I set up that. If I have a sales price discount, I set up that. This was a little different. It took me a while to get used to it. I'll be very frank. It did. Because it was just a different way of looking at it. When it finally went into effect, when you didn't have a choice to turn it on and turn it off. It's still always going to do best prices. That's a fact of life. So if depending on your pricing, it's going to look at the best price or the discount together to give you the lowest possible price. It just took me a while. Maybe it's just me. I just didn't like it at first. I mean, I've gotten used to it now, only because I had to, being that my demo database is up to date. So.
Yeah, and don't forget though, there is a price engine, calculation engine underneath, not available to the end user, not available through the UI, but developers can access it. So there is a way now to change the pricing model from best price calculation, but it requires a developer.
But I still, I'm reading right, the last piece here, it's still not in full-blown effect until update 2022 Q2 2023. New sales price. It's still going to be that mixed mode relationship. It says here. I just looked it up.
Okay. Yeah. So I've actually seen a developer use it, the engine that's under there. So again, you're right. It's not connected. The concern was nobody knew when it was going to happen, but that code has been in place for a little while.
Yeah.
Other questions for the group?
I have a question for Greg. If I'm ever in the Illinois area, can I go on a tour of your company? Because I love factories. And Kim is laughing at me because I had a feeling she knew I was going to ask something stupid. But I love factories, and your website looks quite fascinating.
Yeah.
Our factory is out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah?
2-hour drive from my home.
What?
Yeah.
Well, if how far is it? How far is it from Chicago?
About 2 hours. I'm right on the
Which way?
outskirts of Chicago, where I live.
Yeah,
But
which
see,
way?
our corporate offices are in Aurora, and our manufacturing facility is in Freeport. So I'm about an hour from my corporate offices, and the fact is, I used to live about 30 minutes from the corporate offices, and then we moved them. And I'm too close to retirement to try and find another job. So I just tough it out for the next couple of years. So.
Well, I would love to go on a tour there. And then also for everyone,
Yes, you're more than welcome.
Thank you. I put a link in for Jason Wilder's company. They have a recipe for dark and stormy using one of their products. So I thought
it's probably much better too than mine.
I don't know. And then, sorry, Doug, I haven't looked up anything on you yet, but I'm at it.
So I have a question
Kind of
for
boring.
the group. So, I see that in BC there's more smart lists, right, coming into play. And so for people that have are working in BC and know GP, Kristen, who else is on here? Shannon, Belinda. How do you compare the stuff that's in BC and what's in GP, and where do you think that's going?
Good question.
I think the biggest reason they put it in, and Kristen, you're going to have to answer all the functionality questions because I am pointing at you, but I do want to say I think the original reasons they put it in is because the people who are coming from GP over to BC insisted on having smart lists because they live on it. But in my opinion, Kristen, I would love to add to that question as to what's the difference between a smart list and a list in BC.
True. Yeah.
Out of box.
Belinda, that's a great question. And honestly, when I talk to users from GP that are coming to BC, I actually tell them, the list and how you can filter in there and save them is very similar to Smart List. Smart List, everything is kind of bundled together in one window and you can go between the modules very easily, which is very nice. And you can also build things on the fly. But for my GP users that have come over, they've actually liked the functionality of the list and being able to filter. The one thing Microsoft needs to allow to make it even better is to save those and share them with other users within the company.
Can you export them to Excel like you could in GP?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can export them to Excel once you have it in there. Because basically, Belinda, any list that you have in the system, you can export to Excel using that share button. It's just open, and Excel is the button you click on, and it'll kick it out to Excel in the same format, same filtered list as what you're showing on your screen in Business Central.
And can you drill down to the originating data? As in GP, you know how you can double click on a record and you go to the field, it would open up usually the inquiry, but sometimes the transaction window if it was unposted. Does it do that in BC?
Yeah, you can go in and dig into the find entries window and it'll take you to like the original GL entry, the original vendor invoice, different things like that. So it might not be as quick to get, like you might have more clicks in Business Central than what you did in GP Smart List, but you can still get to the data.
Well, the big
Kristen,
thing about,
oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to ask, what were you saying about sharing and the smart list? Is there something different about sharing the smart list than sharing a regular BC list page?
Yeah, so in GP Smart List, you can actually save them like you would in BC. You can save a view,
right?
And in GP, you can actually save it, and you can tell the system whether it's saved just for your specific user or your user group, which is a security group, or the company. So you really have 3 different levels on how you can save it. And if you save it, what that means in GP is that whoever goes into the smart list, if that smart list has been saved to like a company or a user group and you have access to it, then you can see it and you can interact with it.
Okay. Yeah. So one of the things that I've seen done is saving the URL and then sending that out to a group in Teams. Then they can open it up and save it as that name. So it's not quite as smooth as that smart list the groups, but it allows you to basically share out a saved view to a group of individuals.
One of the things about, I guess, in thinking about what you just said, and my question to you, Kristen, about what's the difference between it and a regular list is, its purpose in GP wasn't to create a list like you have in NAV, but to really provide an ad hoc query tool to the end user. So I think maybe their intention here is, maybe this is a question, not a statement, Kristen and Shannon, maybe it's to provide this ad hoc query ability to BC users, because lists are a little more like you set it up and save it and use it again, rather than go through and just query on something and say, hey, I'm going to look at all of the transactions that are greater than $20 or, something like that. It's really meant for ad hoc work. Do you think that's the difference?
Well, I think it's much quicker than SmartList because SmartList and GP just took so long to generate the records where I don't have to go and hit that query every time. And then, I feel like the lists are more better in BC, but I think the problem is like you still can't join multiple tables in a regular list, which SmartList had that capability with the last version of GP out of the box. And so that
we're kind of talking about the new smart list features in BC and comparing it to GP.
So I haven't tested those out yet. I heard that they're not great, but I personally hasn't tested out yet, so I won't talk about that yet.
I think they're half baked, so it's kind of that, hey, it's the agile development, so they've rolled out a portion, so trying to figure out where it goes next,
Yeah,
So.
I think the biggest thing is like being able to combine, this has always been the case, no matter whatever ERP application, I want my header data and my line detail in the same table, or I want GL subledger, like everybody wants that, right? But it's not easy to get that kind of data quickly in most cases. So,
but now they can say to the GP users, we have smart lists in BC.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the big intention, because there were a lot of users who just put their foot down and said, I'm not going till you have smart list. And that was some of the reason. I think a lot of it had to do with that ad hoc querying, and that, which is kind of funny because we all know you can, you could do that in Power BI, you could do it in Excel, but they just got so used to using it as inside of smart lists. So, and I think the reason why you might have been feeling some of the slowness, Shannon, is because it hits views instead of a single table. So it's really connecting to multiple tables at one time. And even if you create your own, you can connect to multiple tables.
So do we have to turn that on through feature management? Because a lot of people aren't seeing it.
It's just there under like certain, like if you go to the item list, you'll see it under reports, and there'll be like one for smart list too. So it's like just randomly they've been popping up on different lists.
Oh, so you can't find it through Tell Me. Got it.
Right.
I'm on the very latest version.
That's kind of annoying and a feature, to say the best.
I will
say, if everybody's looking to like solve this for even BC customers who have no clue what smart list is, Jet Reports has a table builder feature, which is really nice, where they can go and combine two tables together through Jet and still drill back to the transactions in BC. And so that's how we've solved a lot of those challenges, is because what do most people do with smart list anyway? They export it to Excel so that they can pivot. If you just build it through Jet, you're building it through Excel, they can do it refreshable pivots, and it's so much quicker, honestly, to me than running it through a list. But it just depends on everyone's flavor, right?
I don't know. Jet isn't always fast, and I don't know.
Well, and I guess I bring this topic up, kind of circling back to the system admin topic. I've been trying to figure out how we keep up with, all the stuff that's coming out in the releases that isn't in the feature management, right? So, I was trying to see if there was a way, we could get to a list of menus or a list of tables, but even the tables, you got to get down to the fields to see what's new that's added. So, just kind of throwing it out there. I haven't come up with a good way yet to find that stuff besides just clicking on every screen. A lot of this stuff I figure out when we're doing actual training. But wondering if anybody out there has a method to kind of, keep up with all the changes.
Yeah, good question.
And one of the things that they have in GP, when you go to Smart List, it's like you can get to all of the different areas. So I'm hoping that they'll do the same for BC, so that you could switch from items to customers to vendors right within the Smart List. I mean, that's part of, in my mind, just because they have something that's close to ad hoc query that they name smart list does not make that smart list. I mean, it's like going to that single place to be able to pull that information up. Because one of the things is, I was just putting on there for Kristen, you can't go into a search for smart list. You will not see it. You'll see something for SL conversion, but you'd have to go to like specifically to items to see the smart list for items. And then let's see, when you get in there, you even have to go, what is it, more options? No.
Yeah, it's somewhere there. I forget where it is off the top of my head. So
Yeah, it's not, I mean,
have to see on this
it's
computer.
But
it's
Kim,
not really easy to find.
Kim, were
Does
you
it
asking how?
specifically use the word smart list? Or is it just, does it work like smart list, or does it use the word smart list when you get to that page or that list?
It does. If you look in the chat, I have a screenshot of my items screen, and I just went to look there, and there was smart list. I had never noticed it
There you
before.
go. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a menu, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got sub options underneath it. Yep.
Yeah. I ran it across it in the middle of a training session, and that's always fun. Oh, look, there's a new feature. Let's look at that.
So Kim, though, your question was more, your last question was more about how we can understand what changes have occurred behind the scenes to tables that we're used to working with in a particular way or seeing in a particular way that aren't listed in the major release notes. I don't know how many times we've gone in and, you know, we get a release note about this functionality has been added, and then you find out like 3 layers down, they made a change to a table that they didn't publicize.
Yeah, just wondering how everybody else is keeping track of that. Yeah.
Shaking heads, everybody's going.
I mean,
not.
besides an ISV, right? There's a couple of ISVs out there that really help with that, but I don't know. I was just curious if anybody throwing the topic out there.
Yeah, that would be gold. Even just an Excel spreadsheet with a tab by version, that would be definitely gold to have that.
Yeah.
I love it.
Jeremy, what's Jeremy's last name? He has a
Vesca?
GitHub. Vesca, yeah, he has a GitHub repository that he tracks all the changes for developers. So
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. He's pretty. No. Is it him or Stefan Moreau? It's Stefan. Hang on.
Okay.
Not Jeremy. It's Stefan. Let me see if I could find it.
Oh, so he's been keeping that updated, Belinda?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was not aware of that.
Stefan Moran.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah. Oh, I misspelled his name. That never helps. Okay. I'll see if I can't. Oh, here we go. Let's see if I could find. Let me go to his blog. I'll put his blog in.
Thank you, Belinda.
Yeah.
Good recall on that. We have just a few minutes left. Any new questions, topics? Want to make sure to get in before we run out of time?
Well, I'll throw one in there. Another pet peeve is when we went from 2018 to 14, a lot of my permission sets got locked. I can't edit them anymore. The only way to really deal with it is to copy it, create a new permission set, and make your changes there. What is that all about? That's just crazy.
So anything that's indicated as a system or extension permission set is not editable.
True.
Yeah, so
and
there's
some
a
of
new
the ones
table.
that we set up in prior releases became system when we went from 2018 to 24 to version 14.
Like those ones that started with D365?
Well,
Are they the
mine
ones?
started out with ESM space. Like,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, if
That's
they
interesting.
were user defined, they didn't get converted properly. But there's a tenant permission set table. So if you have access to Object Designer, you can copy it from the one table to the other and delete it from the standard permission table, recreate it in the tenant permission table, and then you'll be able to edit it.
So does that mean it was basically a data update problem, Lewis? Is that what
Yeah,
you're
I
saying?
think so. I think it got converted as if it was an out of the box permission set.
Wow.
Didn't recognize that it was user defined.
David, you got something else to add?
No, this is separate. This is a separate topic.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yep.
Hey, Mark, I have a question.
Yeah.
So I'm still edging my way towards BC. Does BC's data model, I'll call it, does it support double entry bookkeeping or not? Is it, yeah, I don't understand. I don't know for sure. I mean, I was assuming it did, but why don't I take away my first assumption? Does BC bookkeeping?
What does he mean by double entry?
Yeah, what do you mean by double entry?
I mean by like the old paper-based double entry bookkeeping.
It does.
I mean,
it does all the gap in IFRS. That's for sure. It does your typical all the gap entries and IFRS stuff. It does, and it does double entry like the typical U.S. based accounting or international accounting, a debit and a credit.
That's it. So so gap and IFRS. Yeah. All right. So then if I can find a lowest end accounting system that has added a double entry bookkeeping capability to itself, I should probably start with that just to at least get records created. I know I have a chart. I know where to get a chart of accounts. And so I can create a double entry bookkeeping system in one accounting system. And then that should be the easiest way for me to get accounting into BC. Does that make sense?
No.
You're just gonna, yeah, I think you're just gonna bring balances over, right? Not history.
Right. You would just bring over beginning balances.
Yeah.
So
you're not going to bring over every single detailed transaction.
It sounds like, Jonathan, that you need some better understanding probably of the posting groups and all the posting group setup and what those mean, because that's what maps the transactions to the GL accounts. And so you might want to look out there for some training, hint, on.
I was waiting for that, but you know,
well, but it does, I guess. No, but to answer your question, honestly, that is what drives what happens when you pick a customer on the header and you put an item on the line. What GL accounts, because it does make a double entry. Now, if you're talking about just journal entries, well, you can certainly make those in Business Central also. You know, I want to debit this account and I want to credit that account.
So what I need to do is, I think, again, read the RTFM, right? And go look to docs.microsoft.com and look at posting groups and journal entries.
Posting groups and setups, yeah.
Journal setups.
Well, no, just look for posting groups. That'll get you started.
All right. All right. Cynthia, can I come back to you with a few questions now and then?
Yeah, and I think another thing too is maybe have a discussion with somebody offline, a little detailed one around best practices and data migration, because I think you alluded to bringing in maybe more than you could into BC from another system. When you're moving from one system to another, you can never recreate an entire posted sales or purchase transaction. What you can do is if it's got an open receivable or payables component, you could bring that in. If you must bring in all of that history, you'll have to bring that into some kind of archival table and so on and so forth. So there's certain best practices around what you can and what you should bring in. Is this historical data going towards a general ledger? Is this part of a sales or a purchase sub-ledger and so on? So I think that's going to save you a lot of heartache and a lot of heartburn if you have those conversations ahead of time.
Let's jump over to David since we have just a minute left. I'm thoroughly enjoying the chat though. David, did you want to get something in real quick?
Yeah, this is kind of admin related. Has anybody extended the data that flows into Dataverse, formerly Common Data Service, and flown data out of the SaaS instance into Dataverse and then taken it from there? It does relate to probably GL history a little bit, but am I correct that you have to add code to go pluck other tables out, like chart of accounts, like GL entries, and get it into Dataverse? Has anyone done that?
You can actually grab the data via OData in there. So there's like an OData feed that you can bring it in and you can create your own tables. So rather than like go to the create table structure, you actually have to go into get data. And then in the get data section, it will ask you for the OData connection. You connect that into your BC API, and that will actually bring the data in and refresh it from the table. And then you can use it from there. But just keep in mind, it doesn't have any connection to Dataverse like between BC and CRM or any of those things. Like it's mostly for Power Apps and Power Automate.
Yeah. I would consider not bringing it in directly from a table if you're going to do that. I would go ahead and organize it much more like you would want to use it in whatever you're going to pull it from. So if you're using it as a kind of a method of a data warehouse, do it a little different and a little than you would just like in a SQL database. And by that, I mean, go ahead and don't have all the account information necessarily over here and something else over there. I mean, organize it more like you would a Power BI report in something like that. It'll make it so much easier for you to extract your data and use it in whatever form you want to use it.
Well, Belinda, when you go through the get data piece, it actually runs you through Power Query. So you can actually filter.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
You're exactly right.
Yeah, they
Take
just
advantage
changed
of
that, which is super nice. So you don't have to bring in the whole damn table. Excuse my French.
Thank you.
And bring in what you want and then cipher out all the junk.
Yeah, because the last thing you want is to bring in 20 columns that have no data in it. I mean, that would be ridiculous. And so that's exactly right. Brilliant.
That makes me feel bad because that's exactly what I want. But I can talk about why that is later, and it has to do with some more advanced data warehouse architecture, like operational data stores, and not having to go back to the source every time you do want a field. So appreciate the guidance on the volume, but sounds like get data with an OData URL does get it into Dataverse, correct? That's the best way?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. You can also bring it into Azure Data Lake, but then you're using consumption and all of that. So it's
I'm thinking about using Azure Data Factory and some other stuff to get it where I ultimately want it to go. I just need to get it out of the SaaS backend first.
I will say there is, depending on how big that project is, there is an add-on that eFocus built that builds a data warehouse in the Dataverse for you, but it lets you configure all the stuff inside of BC. So it might be something you want to check out.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Mark, we might want to close on who was it who figured the mystery of the smart list out?
I don't know anymore. I've lost track with
it's how you access the list. If you
have to do it through Tell Me. You have to use Tell Me to get to items
versus a bookmark, which is the weirdest thing.
Kim walked me through it, and I'm still giggling at Kristen. It is the stupidest thing ever.
Yeah.
Totally is.
Okay, so I just talked with Steve Indo today, and I said, I'm going to submit a session for Dynamics Con, and the whole session is going to be on stupid features, because they're always called features, stupid features of Business Central, and the whole session is going to be on stupid things like this.
It's a good idea. It's a good idea.
Quotes, yes. Yes.
I have a web service one for you too then, Kristen. I'll send you that.
Yeah, everybody better vote for it, so at least it makes it. It'll be funny.
All right, folks, time is up already. This is a clear indicator to me that we should do this again. So I'm going to put this on the schedule for 2022. Really enjoyed the conversation and the sharing of features. Thank you. Real quick, just reminder, of course, we recorded this. We'll throw it up on the YouTube channel. I'll put a note out there. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. You get those notifications. We got January 26th as our next meeting. Again, we're collaborating with Women in Tech, and they're on today as well. So appreciate that. And we'll get some more details out about that. We've got the Power Platform, Mix It Up, debuting in January. And there we go. I forgot to do the survey. So if you've got anything nice to say, shoot me an email. Otherwise, thank you for joining. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays, everybody. Enjoy some time off, rest, be with family and friends. Take care of yourselves. Thank you, everybody. See you next year.
Thanks, everybody.
Happy holidays.
See you later. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.